And welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. I'm your host, Michael, and I am joined today by a lovely guest we all met yesterday as she interviewed me. And so we're kind of doing a flip the script kind of deal where today she's on my show. And so I am so excited to be able to share some of these experiences with her and to delve deeper into more stuff. And so, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, talented, amazing host, Dana Knoetgen.
Trojan. It was close.
Uh, it was a shot in the dark.
Yeah, I yeah, it's okay. It's all good. Yeah, my name is Dana Knoetgen, and I am a podcaster with Light Talk with Dana. And so far, I'm just on YouTube, but yeah, it's been a great, exciting experience with all of this. I'm fairly new at it and still learning lots, but it's been so much fun. And recently, I just started doing Oracle card readings, so I do that now. So if you're all interested, check me out.
So, how
Yeah.
did you get into Oracle card readings?
I went to an expo and I met a lady there, Nichols, and she just got me interested in it. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I joined her class. So I have one class under me, and I'm getting ready to do my second class with her. So then I'll be doing my level 2 Oracle card reading. So I'm excited.
That's really cool. And
Yeah.
for those who are not familiar with the cards, Tarot and Oracle are two different style cards. So, what do you feel is the difference between the two? Or do you feel there is a difference?
There is a difference. Tarot cards are done by a book. So when you pull a card, you have a book that kind of reads the card for you. With Oracle card, you're actually connecting energy and you're reading off your sitter's energy. So what comes through in the cards is really what, like, your soul you is telling me to message you, if that makes sense.
It does.
So, it's like you should already know, but yeah, so your inner higher self will connect with me, and then they will give me messages to give to you as a person.
That is very cool. And
Hopefully that makes sense to you.
it does. And I feel it'll make sense to who needs to hear it. And you're also a podcast host of, if I remember the title right, Light Talk with Dana. So, how did that start?
Yes. Yes. And with that, we
Well, we seem to be having an issue with lagging. So, hopefully, this will resolve itself and we'll be able to continue, or we may have to refresh the Wi Fi and see if that'll help. So, hopefully, we'll be able to do this episode. So let us try and see if when she comes back, if Wi Fi will be holding and we'll be able to have our guest in a manner. But for those who are listening to this, my interview with her that we did yesterday will be posted live on October 2nd on her website. And so I will share that information and I will also upload it if I can get a copy of it to my YouTube and Rumble channel so you can see it. And so hopefully everything will be coming out. And so look for that on October 2nd. And hopefully she's back. So let us see if we can continue this interview. Hello.
Hey, all right. Sorry about that. Um, I will start back with the podcast, how that started. So I was underneath my fan, standing there in my living room, and I just heard the word podcast in my mind. And I know at that point you should go with that and do what it's saying. And a month later, I had my first podcast out, and now it's just all learning. I've got what 54 videos out now, and I'm just having such a blast. I mean, this has been so wonderful and learning so much and meeting so many new people and what's wonderful, excellent, exciting stories from everybody. I just get all giggly when I still do it. It's so much fun.
Well, and while
And that's
you
how I
were,
got
oh, go
started.
ahead.
I just,
So while
yeah,
you were refreshing, I let everybody know that our talk yesterday will be October 2nd, I believe is the date you said will be live. And so
yeah.
in that
It should be October 2nd.
yeah, and you teased on it that you had experiences to share with us tonight. So do you want to delve right into those?
My fabulous stories. Is that what you were saying? You kind of blanked out a bit right there.
Oh, I was saying that you had teased that you had experiences to share with us, and so I was seeing if you want to delve into those now.
Yeah, my ETs are awesome. I love them. I moved out on my own in 1994 for the first time as a young adult. And I moved into an apartment that was on the third floor. And it wasn't like an apartment to where anybody could just climb up the side of the building or anything. It was pretty flat. It was all brick, so pretty flat. And one night I'm laying in bed, but I'm hearing a Siamese cat going meowing and everything in the back. And then next thing I know, I'm hearing what sounded like firecrackers inside of the big trash cans that these apartments had and everything. So I thought, okay, well, just fireworks going off. And something made me open my eyes, and I open my eyes, and I have this ET outside of my window. And mind you, I'm on the third floor, so there's nothing you can stand on or get to the third window. So I'm seeing like about like this much of them. And then at the end of my bed, I have three of them standing there. And on the side of my bed, I have one. And in my closet, I had one. And they didn't do anything. They were just looking at me. That's all they were doing, just looking at me. And I remember, well, I guess I should say I was scared. As a young female by yourself, you always had your phone next to you so that you can call for help if you ever needed. So I was laying there and I remember crying out to call my mom. But my mom was 30 minutes away from me, so it was like there was no possible way she would be able to get there. And what was she doing anyways once she got there? Oh, ETs, just go away. What is she gonna do? But that was the first thing that came to my mind to do. So I just kept repeating, call mom, call mom. And I'm laying there and I remember moving my fingers to try, like, see the camera, like trying to move my hand to move my arm to get to the phone. Able to do that. I was able to move my fingers and move my hand at the wrist, but not the full arm. I couldn't move anything, and I think that scared me a little bit. But it wasn't like you would think, like screaming or anything. I don't even think I would be able to scream. I don't know, but it wasn't all that scary when you think about it. It was, but initial. But then I woke up the next morning and it was like a dream. It's just like a dream. And then later, I moved into my current home and I had felt something at the end of my bed. And so when I opened my eyes and looked down, it was gone. A few nights later,
Okay, seems the lagging has taken effect again, and so we will hopefully get her back. These are some of the joys of live streaming is you cannot control the Wi-Fi or this internet signal. So hopefully we'll be able to get her back and continue this story because I have to admit I'm interested to see one why one chose to be in the closet, why one was next to her, three at the bed, and I believe one outside. So that's an interesting layout. So I'm curious if there was a reason for them being like that, especially on the third floor. So let's hope that we'll be able to get her back and get the answers to those questions.
all right,
Okay.
I made it back. Woohoo!
So we were at the point of the story where you had one to the side of your bed, three at the foot of the bed, for some reason, one in a closet, and one outside, and you could move your hand and wrist, but not your full arm.
So we're still in my bedroom then.
Yes.
So you heard the in the bedroom? So I had one outside at that point?
Right.
Okay.
You had
So in the bedroom, I had one outside. and 3 at the end of my bed, 1 on the side of my bed, and 1 in my closet. And I was trying to call my mom. I don't know why she came into my mind, but I kept trying to call my mom, and I couldn't move my arm. All I could do was wiggle my fingers and move my wrist, but I couldn't move my arm. So I was like paralyzed. But besides just the initial seeing of them, it wasn't scary. I mean, they were just looking at me. They didn't touch me. They didn't do anything. They were just standing there looking at me. Then years later, I move into my current home, and during the night, one night, I felt the energy or the entity there, and felt that they were looking at me. So I opened my eyes and they were gone. A couple nights later, same thing. But this time they were looking at my husband. I opened my eyes, they're gone. And then a little later down the line, I was in the shower, take my shower, and I felt someone behind me. So I turned around and I looked down to that 3-foot height. It wasn't my husband's height. He's about the same height as me. So I looked down to this 3-foot height and nothing was there. Then again, a few days later, I saw this shadow in my bedroom. So I saw it out the corner of my eye. I went to turn, and when I turned, it like started to move, but it was about 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall, and it had like a vampire cape on it, just a short little cape on it, just enough to cover the neck. And when I turned, it moved, and when it moved, the cape kind of floated off like that. So it kind of had the wind shaking it. And I decided, you know what? Having the um, shadow in there, not going to happen. So I went through and I saged my whole house. I was like, I'm going to clean all the energy out of this house. And that scared me a little bit more because I don't want that stuff in my home. But once I did a cleansing, I haven't seen the shadow anymore. And I haven't seen my ET friends, and I kind of miss them. So yeah,
Well,
it's quite a little experience.
and I find it kind of interesting how, in your experience, especially when you were at your apartment, having one outside, one by the bed, three in the front, and I'm like awfully curious why one was in the closet. I'm like, I can understand being around the bed and kind of watching, but the closet, that part, it's like, I can't really wrap my mind around
You're kind of
why
doing a
one would
twang and
go.
I'm not hearing you.
Okay, say that again.
So so you were kind of going electronic on me. I didn't hear you.
Oh,
What was your
so
question?
I was just observing and commenting. Having one at the side of your bed and three in the front of your bed is kind of interesting for a observation, because the one may have been the one in charge or something of the group. But then I was like, the one in the closet is the one I can't explain why he would go, I'll hang out in the closet while you guys do your thing. It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there was like some sort of protection because I kind of wonder if there was some gunshots because it wasn't all the greatest of neighborhoods. So it could have been some gun shots going off. And I think they were there protecting me, so the with the closet, it was more towards the spot where my neighbor had a hole in his window. Well, it was not fully a hole, it was like a crack, but I didn't notice that prior to all of this happening. So it just kind of makes me wonder if there was some shooting going on and these guys were there to protect me and kind of shield me from where those bullets were coming from. So that right there would kind of explain the one being in the closet and one being in the window. So they were
And
blocking the window and everything.
right, and that would make sense being protection. And when you got to your house, they established you're now with someone, and when you saged, it's kind of like you put a barrier up that removed some of the negative, or maybe all of the negative, and the reason they're not there is there's no longer anything to protect you from.
Exactly. Exactly what I think. My house is safe now and I feel safe and they don't need to be here right now. If
Yeah,
something
but
does come up, I hope they do come back to protect me.
I can just see one of them going over to your husband and going, "Okay, mister, why are we here? What is your role here again? Why did we have to come and show up again?"
I he might freak out a little bit, but he's getting much better with all of this. At first he was just like, "Yeah, Dana, whatever," you know, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." But he has witnessed a few things with me, so he is like, "Okay, I think this stuff kind of happens." So he might be like, same time, you know, I think Dana's right now. This stuff
Yeah,
does happen, and they are out there. Yeah, they're kind of it's pretty, and they look like the typical little grays that you would think of like back in the 80s, and so 80s, 90s, around that, when you see a picture of an ET, um, that's what they would look like. It was like the more kind of triangular face, um, bigger eyes and very little features on the face, skinny, um, kind of longer neck. So yeah, it's kind of a lot like that. Not sure if they're grays or not, but I guess they were grays.
yeah, and I like
Yeah.
to make observations in my shows, and right now I'm observing that in your experience, I feel like they didn't want necessarily all of that to come out, so the signal was rough. But now that you've got it out, it's like you're perfectly clear. It's coming through. There's no lagging, and so it's like I feel like they're like, "All right, it's whatever we didn't want. We're past that, so let them have a great show."
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. They've been wonderful. I've I've thought of them as my guardian angels. I mean, that's how I feel with them. That these visitations were very protective and I felt like they were like angels. So if they want to come back and protect me from anything, help out with the link here so we can have this podcast, come on in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. It's like,
yeah.
no,
I'd like to
you
get
guys are technical wizards. I mean, you can transfer through stars. I mean, come on, you can fix the Wi-Fi.
yeah, come on. I think we got it now though. Seems to be working.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Energy with all of this with empaths and stuff, since I'm an empath, and the energy with the computers always kind of mess up, I guess. I've had it a
they,
few times on my show, but
yeah, I feel
we
like
get through
when
it.
there's information that they're kind of wanting not so clear, out there that they're like all of a suddenly out of the blue you'll start to have audio issues or the you'll get lagging or just the whole video will shut down and it's like, all right, I guess you don't want this out, but unfortunately I got a show to do, so I'm going to keep trying and I'm going to persevere through it.
And I think we made it. Think we got it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I don't know. They may have come. Yeah, really. Um, they may have come back. I mean, I have gone to work and I go to work kind of in the dark, depending on the year, time of year. And I have seen bright lights one time. This is a one-time incident. Um, on the horizon. It was very bright. It was like boom, 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 boom through the sky. It was like five little flashes. And I've never seen anything like that before. And it was too high above the, the horizon. And I do drive by next to an airport. So I thought, well, maybe the light from the airport, the ones that spin and flash going around.
Right.
I thought it might
The
have been that. And
towers.
it's like, you know, that, yeah, the towers. But that is flashing the wrong direction. That's going east. These lights were going west. So it couldn't have been that. And the planes that land there aren't the bigger planes, they're smaller planes. So the lights aren't going to be that big. But these
Hmm.
were good size lights that flashed.
Yeah, that I do gotta admit that is interesting, and I would say under the true definition, we can't identify it. It is flying, and
Mhm.
it has to be an object because the light was moving. So it would need to be attached to something, or the light itself is the object. So therefore, I would say you've seen a UFO. And I'm sorry to say, I do
I
not
think
like
so.
the UAP definition. I'm like, it's a UFO. It's always been a UFO. Let's not start trying to change all the definitions because somebody decided we needed to. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, you don't know what to call anything anymore, to be honest. I mean, that's me, is
Yeah.
you don't know. I don't know. I'm not into all these up-to-date wordings or anything.
Yeah.
I got my own little language. I just speak it.
All these terms are becoming too much. And it's like, in the end, we're all talking about the same thing. So really, are we going to quibble over what title we give it?
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I don't worry about that. I pretty much say what comes to my mind, and you know,
Yeah.
that's old words. Let it be old words.
So I want to take a quick moment because I feel like, this will be like kind of like a feather for your cap, actually. Dana is Irene, that's watching the show, happens to be watching from Japan. And so she is a podcast host as well. So maybe, I can pull a few strings with Irene and call in a few
Oh.
favors. Not like I really need to. All I got to do is just ask her if she's looking for a guest. And if you want, you could be a guest on her show in Japan.
I would love to, Irene. I would love to. Let's connect.
And
That would be good.
Libby of the Light is joining us from Huntsville, Alabama. And this podcast, Libby, is my paranormal more style show. And so we are talking about paranormal and by paranormal, if I could talk, I'm going by the definition of anything that's unexplained. And so Dana is my guest sharing her experiences. So thank you all for coming in and watching this episode. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dana to share either more experiences or if she wants to delve more into that one, we can do that.
Hey, any way you want to go. I've got more stories.
Let's go then.
All right. Well, I have a spiritual story if you want to go that direction.
Let's go.
All right. This one here, I was on my way to work and I stopped at a light at an intersection. And during the time I was stopped, I kept hearing this voice tell me to get gas. And there was a gas station at diagonal from where I was at, but I was in the straight lane. And I told this voice, no, I don't need gas. I've got a half tank. I'm good. I'll get it after work if I really need to. I am good. And this voice came back, nope, you need to get some gas. And I'm like, nope, I don't need gas. I'm fine. Nope, you need to get gas. I'm sitting here arguing. No, I don't need gas. I'll get it later. That wasn't helping. And the spirit here decided, she's not listening to me. I'm going to take things in my own hands. So next thing I know, my steering wheel was turning and my car was moving into the turning lane. And yep, so I turned and went into the gas station. And that morning happened to be one of the coldest mornings. It was below zero, really cold. And the gas said the same thing. It was like clunk, clunk. It's like, I don't want to come out. It's just too cold. So I'm sitting there, keep watching my watch. I'm like, I'm gonna be late for work. I'm gonna be late. And but the gas just took its time coming out. Clunk, clunk. Okay. So I finally get my gas. And I took a little different direction getting back to work. But when I get to work, my building is like right here. And right next to the building, pretty much on the same property, there's a little stream that's almost like dried up. And then another street that goes this way. So I have to come this way to get to my building. Well, when I got to this point on the other side of this little creek thing, there was an ambulance and I couldn't tell if there was a blanket covering them or what it was, but there's ambulance, the whole works was there. And that's when I realized somebody was saving me because otherwise I would have been part of that situation. And yes, I was 10 minutes late to work. But I was
That was,
good. It was good because I could say, "Look, that's why."
and it's like
Because you could
going
just
up
look
to
out
the
the door
boss
and
and
see.
being like, if I was on time, I could have been over there. So are you really going to argue with me over the 10 minutes today?
Exactly. Yeah. No, they didn't really argue or they were pretty cool about it. But yeah, I was 10 minutes late to work and I'm never late for work, but yeah, that was an interesting thing because I was not touching that steering wheel and it just started turning and I was like, Okay, I guess I'm getting gas." It's like it was
I
pretty
love how
crazy.
they just took over your car. We're like, if we can't get her, we'll get the car.
Exactly. Yes, and that's exactly what they did. It was just like, "You know what? She's not gonna listen to us. We're gonna have to take things in our own hands, so let's go." Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
was
I love
crazy.
how
It was
they
the
probably
craziest thing.
made the gas go slower just to make sure you would not be anywhere near the situation.
And that could have been. And with it being so cold that morning, that's what made me wanna say, "Okay, maybe it was the cold that was, you know, slowing the gas down," but, it could have been them.
Yeah, they
I
could have
wouldn't be
dropped the
surprised.
temperature and like, hey, let's just put all these factors into play to make sure she's not where she's supposed to be.
Right, right.
Hey,
That was that was so amazing.
yeah.
So amazing to me. Let's
So
see what else I've got.
Amanda says hello, and Amanda's actually Irene's co-host.
Hi.
So
Oh,
what?
hello.
So what you missed, Amanda, was Irene popped in. So we were saying, hey, look, I have a guest for you guys if you are interested.
Yeah, we could be swapping like what Michael and I is doing. Do that, that'll work.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
when we get to reciprocate and make appearances on
yeah,
each other's stuff.
yeah. It's really fun. I've really had a good time with all of this. It's been so much. I mean,
There
you,
you go.
you could tell I'm still real giggly over it. It's like, it's,
Yeah.
it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. So Amanda, I will
So
be in touch with you
one
with
of
her
another
info.
thing I thought was
Oh, go ahead. I was just responding to Amanda saying that they're always interested in new guests.
all right. Me too. We'll get together. Yeah, I had another one when I was working at Stapleton Airport. That is the old airport in Denver. It's now DIA, but Stapleton was a really old airport, and I was security guard there. And one night I was there, and I looked up in my fish mirror, fisheye mirror. You know those round ones where you can see behind you.
Right.
So I looked up in there, and you wouldn't believe who I saw in there.
A three
Sherlock
foot
Holmes.
alien. Oh.
No, not this time.
Sherlock Holmes, that would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was Sherlock Holmes. He had the, 3 bills on his hat. He had the pipe, everything in my mirror. I'm looking all over the place for it, and there's nothing I could see that would make that in the mirror, and so that was another fun thing I've seen.
And I'm kind of curious, did something happen while you were looking for him? Because I'm wondering if all these spirits may be appearing to move you out of harm's way of something and going, hey, look over here. So whatever's going to happen over there, you're not a part of.
I have never thought of that. I never thought of it something like that. Who's to say? That could have been.
I mean,
That could have
especially
been
like
because I've had
Sherlock
yeah.
Holmes.
I know, like, of all people, you know? A fiction person. Yes, I'm a real person. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. I never thought of that. It could have been protected me from something else. Very much could have been. Yeah, that was fun, if nothing
Yeah.
else. Um,
So I'm
let's
curious,
see. I
have you
have,
you have more?
oh, I've got a list of things I've experienced. I'm getting there. I've got a list.
All
I've seen
right.
my past puppy. Um, she passed in 2018, and we got another dog in 2020. And when we brought the new puppy home, she was outside playing in the snow that we had. And I got a video of her playing in the snow. And when I took the video, I had a huge, it was there and it would float around my new dog. And I think it was my old puppy, my previous puppy. She's
So I'm
showing
gonna
my new
admit
dog the ropes of the yard and everything.
you kind of cut out. So what we heard was your dog had passed, and then there was something moving around the new dog that you think was the your past dog visiting. So I
Yeah,
think we might have missed a little bit of the story.
it it was an orb. It was a
Ah,
good size orb that was kind of bobbling around, and it went from our deck and went moved over to the other side of the yard where her pen was, and kind of moved back and moved back over to the pen, almost like showing and talking to our new dog and telling the ropes of the house, okay, this is this and that is that, kind of thing. And then,
okay. So apparently we're lagging again. Somehow the spirits just aren't wanting us to fully engage and be able to get all these stories out, and maybe some of the questions that I've got coming up is potentially something they don't want to hear. And Libya the Light, yes, we are aware of the freezing, and she may drop out and pop back in. It's happened a couple of times already, and so as I mentioned before, being the joys of live shows is I cannot edit out the disappearancing, but hopefully she comes back, and here we go.
all right, am I there? Okay, I
You
made it
are, and
back.
there was actually two of you up there because your other screen was still up.
Oh, yeah, I kind of saw that. It's like, oh no, I got to get that one closed out.
But so here's an
Oh,
interesting tidbit I'd like to share with you is I had a guest on my show. His name is Rob Goutreau, and he specializes in pets in the afterlife as a medium. And so he
oh,
says when your pet passes, they will bring the next pet to you, and they will train and explain how everything works to your next pet so they know everything to do. So, exactly what you were
yeah,
thinking was happening was what was happening.
yeah. And I believe my previous dog named my current one. Is when we first met her, because she was from the shelter. So when we first met her, we locked eyes and that was it. I knew she was going to be our dog. And when we left, we were not even a mile from that person's house, and I told my husband, "This is her name. This is what our dog's name is." He's like, "We don't even have her yet." They still had other people looking at her and everything. I go, "No, we're picking her up Saturday, and this is her name. She's ours." Sure enough, we brought her home, and that's her name. It's
Aw,
a
that's
crazy
so
name,
sweet.
Dipsy.
You know, there could be a lot of reasons for that name,
There
but
is a
it's a
lot of
fun
reasons.
name.
Oh, yes, it's definitely a fun name. Dipsy Doodle, man. I mean, that's just a perfect name for her, perfect name for my crazy family, and it just fits her. I mean, she's got so many different names she could be, but she's pretty Dipsy. Mm,
Yeah, and
no.
it's funny how I've noticed with ours when I had my first dog that I adopted and rescued, he was spirited and running around, and so that's where he got his name Spirit. And I felt like he was an exact copy of me, like our energies matched. And so I was like, this is me in spirit form. And he would go where I would go, and it was like, yeah, we were side by side until he passed. And then when he passed, we had got another dog, and he was following him around everywhere. And we thought he was being his shadow. And so we named that's how he got his name Shadow. And
Shadow.
so it's like, yeah, it's interesting how all the names come out of like things that we either witness or hear. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, yeah, I mean, and the funny thing too is like we will sit there and we'll do the normal calling out names like Bear or Spike or Spot, and they don't respond. And it's like, okay, that's not your name. And then when we hit their name that we go we call them now, their tails would start to wag, and we're like, that's it. That's the way
That's the
we
name.
determine.
Oh, that's a great way to do that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this one here, it was just funny how, I mean, again, it just comes to my mind. And it's like, that's her name. That's her name. That's what it is. He's like, "Oh, are you kidding?" I go, "No, that's her name." And we don't even have her yet. We don't even have her. She's not even ours yet. Nope, she's ours, and her name is
Yeah,
Dipsy.
there was a reason. And it's interesting too how you say, like, you went there, seen first eye contact, and we're like, you knew. We
Mhm.
One of our rescues, the first one that we started recently because we were devastated losing the two we grew up with, that it was like 10 years before we looked at adopting again, and we still weren't sure we were ready. But a friend called us up and says, I got the perfect dog for you. You got to come over and see him. And we were like, do we really want a dog now? I mean, we're still kind of fresh
Yeah,
on 10 years ago what we went through. And we were like, all right, it's a friend. Let's just go look. We don't have to. And sure enough, the second we held him, we were like, he's coming home. We were sold.
yeah, yeah. And that was so cute when we brought her home because she was no bigger than my arm. And, so I put her in my arms, and her little head just kinda snuggled right down in there in my elbow, and it was just so cute, and just, like, wanted to squeeze her, you know?
Yeah.
But she does, and she still hugs me like that for a big hug, and she smiles when I come home from work, so she gets this big old smile on her, it's just so cool. Yeah,
And
so such a precious girl.
and I remember one of the dogs I had growing up. They were two Lhasa Apsos, and they were brothers. But one was just so funny. Is my dad would come home from work and he would greet him at the door, and he would walk in and be going, "Oh, it's so good to see you. It's so good to be home. Oh, how are you?" And the dog would get so excited it would tinkle a little. And then he would yell at him for tinkling, and we'd be like,
Sounds
"Have
about
you?"
right. That's like my dog.
Yeah, and we finally looked at him and go, "Have you realized you're getting him super excited, and that's what's happening? Is why he's doing that?" And so then he was like, "We're like, stop yelling at him. This is more your fault than his." So yeah,
Oh,
we had to
mine
learn
follows
how
me
to.
everywhere.
Yeah, we're like, we had to learn how to greet him a little differently than normal. But
She's
yeah.
learned, she's very long. Mine is a corgi mixed with shepherd. So she's like a very
Oh,
short shepherd. And so she's 3 feet long from head to tail. She's 3 feet. She's very long, and she's very short to the ground, not quite a corgi, but, she's pretty short. But man, she jumps and she's got strength like you wouldn't believe. You
yeah, we
wouldn't
have
believe.
one like
She's just
that.
so strong.
Yeah, we were surprised one day is he was standing at our feet, and then all of a sudden we like felt like some like breeze go by, and we were like, "What is that?" And we looked down, and I'm like 5'9". From standing on the ground, he's a little dachshund Pumi mix, we think, because he's got really short legs, but he's got that Pumi body, and he jumps up to my waist from just standing, and I'm like, "Holy cow, man! I've never seen a dog jump so high without a running start," and I'm like, this, and so we're like, man, I got to be careful when I got food around my waist because he can
Oh,
jump up
yeah.
and just grab it.
Grab it. Yeah. Yeah, she loves to jump up and push off of you. So she'll jump up and jump in towards me and then push off like I'm a trampoline or something, just pushing off of me. And one of these days, she's going to flip me over.
I think that's what she's trying to do.
Maybe,
She's like, you're in my spot.
maybe.
She's
Yeah.
wanting to take
Well,
over your
guess
spot.
what? Yeah, no matter where I'm at. Yeah. That's when she gets all excited. And, you know, she's just so cute. I just love her. I mean, she's a very touchy dog. So we just snuggle all the time and give her big
Yeah.
hugs.
I'm
Just
curious how she
she's
does
precious.
in like the storms. Does lightning and thunder, does she stay out and about with you, or does she run and hide?
It kind of runs and hides, or she'll snuggle up next tight to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last night we had a storm and she went into her kennel. She's like, not having that one. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah, not very fond of it
Yeah. I often
unless we're
wonder.
there with her. Then she's
Yeah, I often wonder if it's the sound because their ears are so sensitive because they can hear levels we can't hear, that what seems loud to us is extremely loud to them. And so that's why they don't like the storms, or if the vibration that the energy of the lightning and thunder gives off as well, if it's a combination.
could be, could be. And just not knowing, I mean, they may not know what's causing it, and that right there could be scary enough. And
Right.
I don't know, some dogs may not be all that scared of it. Our previous dog wasn't all that scared. She was fine. She didn't seem to bother too much. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they were experienced something in their past life or something. I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, that is because my dog, Spirit, I remember one day it was storming really bad, and my room, the bed has a window behind it. And I came in and I was like, where is he? And all of a suddenly I see this little white tail sticking out from under the bed. And I was like, what are you doing under the bed? And then I realized, oh, the lightning and the thunder outside probably or he would go under the blankets on the bed. He would tunnel
Oh
his way
no.
into the blankets, and then you would just see this head like sticking out of a cave.
That's funny. That's funny. So this one here will get underneath one of our chairs. And it's just high enough for her to like dive underneath. She'll get a running start and just dive, and she'll just slide underneath the chair, and she'll curl up. We'll sneak up on her and grab her tail or something like that, and she'll flip around like, I don't know, like lightning. I mean, she just spins so fast, and then next thing you know, your jaws are right there where her tail was.
Yeah.
She loves that chair. Mm,
And we have a
yeah.
pup that, yeah, if you surprise them from behind, they do the same thing. They'll spin really fast to figure out what's going on. It's
What?
so
Yeah.
cute to watch.
Yeah, she is so I just love her. And, she's got this crazy butt too. I it sounds funny, but she's you know how you see a really cute baby and you just pinch their cheeks and you say you wanna put their cheeks on the wall, you know?
Right.
This dog has that butt. I just wanna pinch her little butt and put on that wall. It's just the cutest cutest little butt. It's just I've
I've
never
just
thought I'd say that
seen.
about a dog, but it's just the cutest little butt.
I know, and I'm just thinking, and I'm not, putting this out there for it to happen, but the day that she gets to the Rainbow Bridge, you're gonna be like, "So can we save this part so I can mount it on the wall and always have this to pitch?" And remember her being like, "Honey, no, we are not stuffing and mounting the back end of the dog."
I'm seeing that. That is so crazy. Yeah. Yeah. That I probably wouldn't be too far off of doing something like that.
But
She oh, the butt is just so cute.
yeah. So we're
Just love
actually
it.
at the hour mark, but um, if you want, we can go and you can share a couple more experiences or another experience, unless you need to go.
I'll share one more. Let's see which one we should share. Let's see. Apparitions at work. I've seen some apparitions. We have meetings outside once in a while, and I have seen behind my supervisor apparitions. Um, some of them were his aura, but I have seen others that was standing in back behind him. I've seen others that were like on the side of him, and then another one about right here. And this one here was really funny. This one here had personality. He would go back behind, play peekaboo, then he'd be back here. Then he'd go slowly go back behind and play peekaboo. That was the funniest one. He was cute.
That's funny. I wonder, since they all were around your supervisor, were they all there for him or supporting him, or do you think
I
they were
think
of the
so.
land and just there?
I got the feel they were for him. Yeah, I think they were for him. And the first one I saw around him, I connected with it when I got home. I tried to connect and find out who he was and everything. And I found out it was a male and it had passed within the 5 years prior. And I was told it was a brother of my supervisor. And I talked to him the next day and I told him a little bit because he already knew a little bit of what I do. And I'm like, "Do you have a brother that passed within the past 5 years?" He's like, "No, but I do have a friend that passed 2 years ago." I go, "Well, was he about this tall?" He goes, "Mhm. Yep." I go, "Well, he was with you yesterday and, just wanted to let you know he was with you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he walks off and he's like, "Okay, that was too much."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, well."
I have
That was
friends that
my
are
first
like
one.
that. They're
Mm.
like, "I want proof," and then when you bring them proof, they're like, "Nope, I still can't wrap my head around this." And it's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
remember, I gave you what you asked for."
Yeah, that was just real fun. That was my first one that I've seen. So to be able to get that information from it and to be pretty right on with it like that, that was fun.
Yeah. And
That was
it brings up a really good point because even though they weren't actually brothers, when you're I know from my experience, like I have certain friends that I'm so close to and bonded with that I'm like, I will call them brother. And so it's like, when you
Mhm.
pick up the information and they're like, and I got to think about that now with readings when people read me and they go, because a lot of times they'll go, "You have a brother, right?" And I'm like, "No, but
Yeah.
I do have friends that I call brother." And so I got to start thinking about that more when
Mhm.
that comes up because, yeah, it could come up as brother and it's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah. And I had the guy that got me moving in all of this, he had one of my friends come up to him and Shane is my friend's name, and he comes up, "Dana, you have a male figure around you, and he says you're like a brother or a sister to him." And I'm like, "Who could that be? Who could that be?" And it took me a while to try to figure out, and then it just kind of hit. Oh yeah, it was this guy my husband and I used to work with, and he was a shuttle driver, and he passed. And it was him coming back to just say, "Hey, thanks for being a friend." He looked at me as a
Mm,
sister, and we really didn't know each other, but, you know, I made some sort of impression on him.
yeah. And,
So, yeah.
something I've been delving into is we have our earth based family. And then we have what I've come to learn is kind of like a soul family where you're related through history of past lives and everything. And through that on a soul level. And so, yeah, so like he called you sister and you called him brother, that could have been on a soul level and brings a whole nother equation to these readings. And when people say, we might have to start going, so not your brother, but did you feel like he was your brother on another level? And
Mhm.
maybe then people will
Right.
start to put that together.
Yeah, and it's just how they feel towards you. That's how they relate. So, like I say, he was a friend to me. Um, and we didn't talk a whole lot. He was a very quiet man and all, but he looked at me as a sibling, and that's how he came through. And that's why it took so long for me to figure out, okay, who was this guy? Who was this guy? Because I didn't see him like in that way, but he saw me that way. So that's how he came through. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about readings, I have a question I'm curious about with you going back to the oracle cards and everything. I know you're not like actively reading and doing like shows and doing live readings and such yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious because I noticed a lot of people when they're doing live shows and live readings are like, okay, here's a reading for the collective or the audience. Here's a reading for the individual. Is that something you think you might be maybe wanting to try and being like, hey, let's see what the cards have to say for everyone at, around who's watching, and then go, okay, who's got questions?
Yeah, I am actually thinking of that. I have been pondering that. I'm just trying to figure out a schedule to be putting it into my week to be able to do maybe like a collective week drawing. So, and putting that out on Facebook, YouTube, blah, blah. So, yeah, I am thinking of that, thinking of doing that.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I think, was it, who was it? The Beatles that said we need 8 days a week. I feel like they were trying to tell us something with that song 8 days a week because yeah, it seems like we always need an extra day every week.
Oh, yes, I need an extra week per week. Yeah, it's been very busy. I've been kind of surprised. I didn't, well, when I first started the podcasting, I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a show once a week. Well, it would be fine. And now I'm doing two a week. And then I'm trying to put, I haven't been too good about it, but I've been trying to put out like a short video of my stories of things that I have actually witnessed and been through. So I'm trying to keep that going. And now I want to start kind of doing a reading, collective reading, and seeing how that goes. So I don't know how it's going to work out, but working on a schedule.
Well, I will put this out there that I have done one episode of live readings during this. That's what the whole show was.
Hmm.
So if you want, if you're needing practice and you're like, hey, let's, before doing, going through all of the setup and making the show and going, maybe do a few dry runs, I'm happy to bring you on to do a dry run and say, hey, how does this format feel? Or maybe this format would be better, and fine tune it before you launch it.
Hey, I'll be open for that. I'll be open for that. We can try something out and just try and, yeah, try and do something for some readings. Yeah, good practice.
Yeah. So,
Good
where can
practice.
people find you if they want to get a hold of you for reading or to be a guest on your show?
Oh, yeah. Email lighttalk423@gmail.com, and that'll get a hold of me, and then I'll send you links to all of that other stuff to set up a schedule for you. Yeah.
And I gotta
And right.
say, it is an awesome experience being on her show. It is so fun, relaxing, and they're what, 40-minute interviews or sharing.
30 minute.
So 30
Yeah.
minute? Oh, well,
Yeah.
I think so, that's something to think
Yeah.
about,
Just
folks, is,
yeah.
it's a really fun experience. And how we did mine was talked a little bit before, got a feel of where we were going, and then
Mhm.
recorded the episode. So it was like smooth transition and knew where we were going. And and the time went fast. So
Yes. It goes so fast. I mean, there's so many times it's just, "Oh my goodness, our time's up already? Aha!" There's so much
yeah.
more to talk about. So and that's in
Yeah.
progress too. So,
And I will
to have
shamelessly
longer
plug,
ones.
because it's my show, I'm gonna be going back for part two. I just gotta find time to click the link and schedule it. So I'll be making a second appearance. So I'll share
Yes,
that as soon as
yes.
we can.
So
And
come on in.
and
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on and sharing your stories and experiences with us. And thank you for your patience with the lagging and everything. And
Thank you.
I always love how at
Yeah.
the end everything smooths out, and it's like, really? Now you're gonna just let it go. Okay.
Only if we know what they're saying. I'm not there yet to know what they're saying, but something's being said, I'll say that.
Oh, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that conversation, to being like, oh, so that's where you thought I was going. Nope, really wasn't, but okay.
Man. Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time with me and allowing me to be a guest on your show. It's great. Yeah,
Yes,
and I'd
and
love to get in touch with, whoever's out there that has stories that would like to share their experiences. Let me know.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
heard it here, if you've had she does, let me see if I remember this right from our talk. Metaphysical, spiritual, paranormal, basically any experience you want to talk about. She'll give you airtime and run an episode around it. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine
It's all
all the
relaxing and calm.
stories and experiences you've got archived on your show from all different types of people.
I've got a lot of different stories. I mean, I've got people talking to or having dolls talk to them, and I've got people having past lives and people that have experienced so much
So
stuff. It's just incredible, and they're just
yeah, and
because
I highly recommend it. And so do reach out to her. And if the email is not already in the description, I'll have her send it to me so I make sure I copy and paste it correctly. And it'll be added to the YouTube and Rumble pages where I can. I don't think LinkedIn lets me edit things. And so I'll share it where I can and make sure that people who want to be a guest can be a guest on your show.
Mhm. Yep. I'm welcoming anybody with experiences, so bring them on.
There you go. You heard it there, folks. Any experiences.
Yeah. Paranormal, anything that you can't explain.
Oh, now we changed it. No, just teasing.
No, no, it's anything. I mean, anything spiritual, unexplained, UFOs, ETs, past lives. Oh man, the list just goes on and on and on. So,
And
Yeah.
it's amazing what comes up too. And when talking with her on her show, I had experiences I had forgotten about popping up and being like sharing. And so I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give it
That
a try,
happens.
folks.
Yeah.
So one
Let
thing
me
I
know.
like,
Let's talk.
go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to wrap it up. So if you were wanting to share something, go ahead because I'm about to wrap up.
Go ahead and let's wrap up.
All right. So one thing I've been hearing from a lot of people that they love that I do. So I try to do it as much as I can because I try to be cognizant of timing too. Is from your life experience of what you've gone through, what would be a golden nugget that you would want to leave someone who's watching this episode with from your own personal experience?
Listen to them. Listen to those nudges. Listen to what they have to say. I mean, it's gotten me here. Um, moving, getting gas, um, doing a podcast, which I never thought I'd ever do. Um, listen to them because, yeah, there's so much out there that we can't explain just yet. We know it's out there. Trust in it. What you see, trust in it. And because you're the one that's going to believe it, not everyone will, but you witnessed it. It's your story. It's your history now. So let's let everybody else share that. And when we do, we raise energy and it's going to bring Earth to 5D. So let's do
Ooh, I
that.
like that.
Yeah. That's
All
part of
right.
the show. That's what it's about, bringing everything to the 5D, raising Earth's energy, and so this world could be a better place to live. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone in the chat room and definitely want to thank Dana for coming on and for interviewing me yesterday, which again, I'm going to shamelessly plug because it's my show. Host prerogative will be live October 2nd, and we will make it accessible, and I will post links to where it's at as well on my website. So you can find her easily and go check out her shows and her other talks. And wherever you are in the world, let's make it a wonderful day, evening, afternoon. If you're asleep, hopefully you're having sweet dreams of waking up to watch this episode. No, I'm not going to subliminally program you for that. Unless you want to, in which case I'm not going to shy you away from that. But, or, go to Dana's channel, subliminally. We'll program that if you want. But in all seriousness or fun, make it a wonderful day tomorrow. And remember, every day we wake up is a blessing. Every day brings new experiences. And as Dana said, listen to those voices that are nudging you in the right way, to the right
Hmm.
situation, and trust your gut and trust your intuition as to which voices to follow. And, just trust in it. Like she says, trust in their guidance because you never know what's coming around the corner and it may be an experience that's not meant for you. So they're keeping you safe from it. And Or it could be another reason of, somebody maybe crossing the street that you wouldn't have seen from where they were crossing. So you, in listening to them, may have saved a life. So, and kept you from having to face that scenario. So, don't question why, is where I'm going with it. Just accept it and trust in it. And, you know, there's a lot of things in this world that are unexplained, and there's a good reason they're unexplained. We don't need to explain everything to believe in it. So, with that being said, thank you for listening to my little diatribe at the end there. And I am going to say good night before I start going on another rant.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.